We're recording. All right. So I was just picking up on the point that Ms. Monroe had made, pulling knowledge from, other subject areas. And also, I want to introduce the idea of collaborating with other teachers on this SBA. The students would have been introduced to the whole research process from social studies. That's one good example, I think. And I think we can just, link with our colleagues in trying to understand exactly what these, areas would really require. I think a lot of us, most of us would have been exposed to some amount of educational research. And I think knowledge from that too would be an asset in actually conducting this SBA. So thanks so much for your participation, your initial participation. Looking forward to hearing some more voices later on. Some ideas jumped in my head as my colleagues spoke. And, as we continue, we want to share. So we know the school-based assessment for human and social biology is a research project. We know that the candidates are expected to develop a research problem based on their observations, whether in their school or in their home communities, and to basically conduct the entire tenets of our research, including, methodology, and all the way to the point of suggesting resolutions to the problems that they may have researched. I'm trying to monitor the chat at the same time, sorry. All right, so I want to talk today, firstly, and I want us to discuss, firstly, the actual requirements of the SBA, and then we'll start by then later on we'll start to discuss, what a possible topic could be and how a student could possibly, write an entire SBA research project on a specific topic. So let's go. Let's go. All right. All right, so in terms of introduction, we know that for a research project, we are focusing on current health-related issues or environmental issues and their socioeconomic impacts in our territory. All right, and all Caribbean here, or specifically if we want to talk about the territory in more detail, we're specifically talking about Jamaica. But I'm from Jamaica. I know Ms. Monroe is from Nevis, and I'm not sure of the other territories here, but we want to talk about issues, environmental issues and health-related issues within our territory. I realize that personally with my students, a lot of them right now, every SBA topic that comes to me is about COVID. And I have to like, I want them to do a lot of research on COVID. Like I want them to be interested because it's a hot topic now, right? But at the same time, I don't want to read 30 SBAs on COVID. So I'm trying to guide them, to other areas in the syllabus that they can cover. The flip side to that is that I have gotten a few SBA topics, or initially I got a few SBA topics that were way outside of, human and social biology altogether. I remember getting an SBA topic on social media and its impacts, and lovely SBA topic. If the student was really, versed, some way he could probably tie it into HSB, but, it just wasn't a clear cut. I just didn't see the direction and the link at the time based on the discussion with the child, but it's something that we have to talk about with them. I heard my colleagues, they would have mentioned that you'd have asked the children to submit topics, and I really encourage that. Ask them to submit topics, ask them to look at their syllabus. A lot of us at this junction may not have completed the syllabus. We may not have even gotten to, depends on how you teach, but there is a whole section on, the environment and so on. And some of us may not have gotten to that section as yet, but we want to guide them to scope out the syllabus, look at the objectives, see where they could find a possible topic that they have interest in, and not just have interest in, but it's a real issue in their community, in their, you know, their country, right? Now, of course, you know that it's a 20% project, and we're expected to guide our students in meeting the criteria that we would discuss today. Okay. Now, the objectives really fall in line with what we are expected to mark for. So this SBA wants to see the students providing background on the current health-related issue. Of course, later on, we'll talk about the mark scheme. I'm going to show you the mark scheme from the syllabus. This is actually one key component that they must include to get, I believe it was 2 marks, for actually stating or providing background for the health-related or environmental issue that they intend to discuss. They're expected to write a problem statement or provide a statement of the issue to be investigated in an appropriate form. They're supposed to state the objective of the research and describe the methodology and the instruments used to collect the data. I think right here is one of the key stages, methodology, that we can look to collaborate with other colleagues on. And as I said, as it was mentioned earlier, you know, the whole factor of, you know, collaborating with those who probably are teaching social studies, teaching geography. This may be a factor to collaborate on. Miss Molly Coons, I'm going to try to stop saying Miss. Go ahead.
Yes, it is, Miss. How many paragraphs should the background have for them at that level?
So I noticed just now that when somebody had mentioned samples, that somebody put in the chat samples question mark, as if they haven't, you know, they probably haven't been exposed to any samples. So what I'm going to do, there is actually a Google Classroom for this. I'm going to post some samples. I'm going to post the 2 samples that I have in the Google Classroom, so you guys can share and look at them. Based on the samples, and based on what is required for the background, I would say no more than 1 paragraph, right? Because the background is simply stating, you know, what the child has observed and, you know, possibly stating the issues that have come from the environment or health-related issue, right? So, for example, the child may want to talk about, you know, improper disposal of garbage. We just want the child within the background to state, you know, that within his community is observing that garbage is, you know, being disposed of improperly, and it is, you know, basically causing, you know, the infestation of rats and cockroaches, that type of thing, just generally speaking. So he just needs to state or provide a background for the issue, right? Lavon Douglas, go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I did use a merge of the social study and plan and design research guide, because you know how you start with plan and design, you have a direct observation or question or so, and it has to come, it's from that you develop, you know, your research, and then from that you plan and design. So with that said, I asked my students, what have you heard? Because hearing is a part of your observation.
Right.
What did you see in the news or hear in your environment that is, you know, a topical thing that is affecting us as Jamaican or the Caribbean or so? And it was from that I said, okay, so based on that, quote something that you heard in the news from a reliable source and put in an intro, or say that it was observed that, you know, some statistical data that there's an increase in breast cancer or so among this age group.
That's a good idea.
Sorry, my throat is dry. Yeah, I need to get some, because I've been teaching in between the meeting and I just don't want to miss them because we're in exam mode. So yeah, so that's what I did. I told them they don't need to put a lot of information, but if they want to hint a source that they may use in their discussion, then hint it to say that this is the data that I am thriving from as my observation or going to build on, and do key definitions if key definitions are necessary. That's what I did for my intro.
Thank you very much. I actually love the idea of, you know, pulling sources from news. I actually love that idea. Margaret Chambers, I'm going to allow you to go ahead. let me just look at the participants here.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I am a bit anxious, so I don't know if you would have been going into certain aspects, but as I said, we are all teaching. I noticed that some persons are in exam and others. So I wanted to find out something before going to the class. I'm having a class with my
Okay.
SBA, and I'm doing SBA component today. So what happened is that I have grouped my students.
Okay.
I don't know if it's unique to if I'm the person with so many, but I have over 70 students. So I'm working with them in groups, but I'm not too sure as to how many persons can I have in a group. Is there a set number? I have grouped them and I've used a certain number, but I'm not too sure if I'm on the right track.
Based on what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing a set number. I would suggest personally, and this is not CXC talking now, this is just me, you know, I would suggest that you try not to have groups of more than 4. That's just my suggestion. And
right. So if I have five presently, I can work with the 5, but not above that. Because I have a group, not all my groups are like that, because it's based, I have 3 different classes. So it's based on the number of students in the classes, but I do have a group with 5.
Okay, so if you have a group with 5, I say go ahead. I mean, we group our students at the graduate as well. Those SBA groups, they have SBA groups. We have groups with 2, groups with 3, groups with 4. I try not to make them go over 4 because you do want everybody to be involved in the process. And we know the challenge with group work, right?
Yeah.
That, you know, you have 2 who do the work and then the rest, you know, just sit along, right? So to avoid that, we want small groups where everybody can have their hands in the project. In addition to that, I did see a clause, and I'll go through it later on, which says that, you know, each student does have to have, you know, some form of report. We can look at it and we'll see how we interpret that. So we want to, you know, make sure that everybody really has some responsibility. And so, yes, group work, but I wouldn't go more than 4 personally. 5, okay, but I don't think it should be bigger than that personally. It's just my,
thank you.
my opinion on that.
The other aspect of it, because as I said, I'll be in between the class and the meeting. So the other part is that when I ask the students to choose their topics, because they were in different classes and we were online, I end up now with having like 2 groups with the same topic. Is that a problem?
I don't see how it can be a problem, because we're expecting now that the body of the research is going to see different characteristics, right? Now, remember, I am not the governing authority on the human and social biology SBA. I'm putting that out there. But as the head of a department, if a teacher came to me with this concern, I'd say to the teacher, as I'm saying to you now, that you're going to see different characteristics. There are going to be differences in methodology. There are going to be differences possibly in how the data is analyzed, the suggestions that are given, that type of thing. In addition to that, let's backtrack and let's remember that the SBAs are going to be conducting, or they are going to be, the research is going to be conducted in the child's territory. So, I mean, probably the child would want to do it in his community or among school, you know, depends on the topic. So you may see differences coming out in those SBAs. And I'd suggest, you know, that I think that is quite expected, especially if you're going to have such a large group. There may be similarities in terms of topics. So I think that's quite expected.
Okay, sir, thank you. There are other questions, but as you go through your presentation, I'd probably see them coming out, if not at the end. But those 2 were 2 critical ones, seeing that I'll be speaking with them while I'm in the meeting.
Right, and I hear you said that you're anxious. I'm thinking that you're anxious because of the SBA, and I just want to encourage colleagues. You know, this is it's the first for all of us, and as I said, this year is particularly challenging. So be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna allow, because I heard No problem. I hope I helped. Molly Coombs, I know your hand would have been up, but I'm going to allow Mr. K. Flemings to go, and then I'll take Molly again, Miss Coombs. Go ahead, Mr. Flemings.
Good morning, Mr. Watch.
Good morning,
All right. My question is, as it relates to the steps, I just want to, being as we have students working in group, I just want to find out which aspect of it. I think there was one aspect of it that they should have different. I just want.
There is an aspect that they are going to have to write individually. And that's what I was just mentioning a while ago. As we go through, I will point that out. And I believe I did highlight it in the presentation. So I'll be going through that later on. Okay. Was that your only question, Mr. Flemings?
That's the only question.
Okay, I'll go through it. Miss Coombs, you can go ahead. I'm just going to take one more question from Miss McLeod, and then we'll proceed, and then we'll interact more as we go along. Go ahead, Miss Coombs.
All right, so question again. So basically for the background, you're saying that the students don't have to get any background information on their topic from the internet and cite it and all those things?
All right, so how do I answer this? So remember now, your background in this context. Let me just jump. Encouraging colleagues just to mute their mics when you're through. All right, let me just jump to my mark scheme because I have it open. So let's just have a look at it. Here is what is required for the background. The background is 2 marks. So if by any indication we wanted to use the weighting to give us an idea of how much should be written, the 2 marks, and this is what the 2 marks is for, provides a clear, detailed description of a current health-related or environmental issue. Now, the background or the overview of the issue, and this is why I say I'm thinking that this won't be more than 1 paragraph. More than 1 paragraph. Because in 1 paragraph, the child could quote TVJ, could quote JIS and state the issue that they're observing in their community and the implications of this issue. And they could do that in 1 paragraph. Right? So I'm not sure, you can let me know, Ms. Coombs, to what extent are you thinking that they may need to quote, data from other sources? We could talk about that. I mean, for me, I'm just thinking that probably just one source or 2 sources briefly described, and that would be sufficient because it is 2 marks. It is 2 marks.
Thank you.
Right. Does anybody, so let me hear from my colleagues. I see Margaret Chambers, your hand is up. Mr. Flemings, I'm not sure if you have a new question or it's you can let me know by.
No, I just need to lower my hand.
Right. So Miss Kuma, I just saw a name a while ago.
The reason why I mentioned that is because there's a section for reference. So I'm saying,
but then let's scroll down just a bit here. So that would be one of the references that you put into your reference section if you're going to reference somebody in the background. But I think also that when the student is analyzing the data that they have found, that they can draw. Notice here, data is analyzed using calculation statistics themes. Data is summarized accurately. At least 2 statements of finding is presented here, and findings are consistent with analysis. There is a possibility that the student at this point in time referring additional sources or comparing, with other. That is a possibility. That is something that the child could do, and in that instance, you would have to reference those sources later on. All right. So I don't think that the background needs to be this detailed that's a bad word to use, but I don't think that the background needs to be this expansive discussion on the issue, right? As I said, it could be, I'm suggesting just a paragraph, no more than that. And I'll show you the samples later on so you can tell me no. Colleagues though, let's do this. Briefly, tell me what you have been asking your students to do for the overview of the issue. Do you agree with me? Or is it a case where you believe, based on the mark scheme, based on what is described here, do you believe that it should be more than what I'm saying? Anybody, please, let's have a discussion on this. I see Jamali McLeod, your hand is up. You could go ahead and engage us.
Okay, good morning, teachers. All right, so I have just two questions. The first one is regrouping the students. So if you group them, when it comes down to the marking aspect of it, do we give them the same mark? Well, we should expect the same mark for the background, well, same wording, information for background, problem statement, and same methodology, right? And they should get the same mark for that.
I'm sorry, I totally missed that question. You're asking if the
Students
students
should have the same information for background, problem statement, and methodology. Just confirmation.
As I said, I'm going to go through and we
Right.
can talk about specifically, what parts are supposed to be common in the
Okay.
in the group SBA. I just want to point out here, ladies and gentlemen, that some of our colleagues have responded to some of your questions in the chat. I'm really grateful for that. I see here Norveen has said that CSEC, I'm not sure at what event, but she said that CSEC says a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 4 students for the group SBAs, for 5 students for the group SBAs, which I, figured at the back of my head that would have been a more appropriate, number. And then she did point out as well a very important point, and this is why I'm saying that your background really can't be more than a paragraph, because there is a word limit of 1,000 words, right? And I'll be talking about that probably in my next slide, because if the child surpasses that word limit, the teacher is expected to deduct marks for every 150 words over the word limit. So we must pay attention to that. We must pay attention to that. Thanks very much. Mr. McLeod, and the other question about what is expected for the group, I will come back to it. Ms. Coombs, I see your hand is still raised. I'm not sure if you have another question, or you can let me know. All right. Okay, so we spoke about the objectives of the research, what is expected. It continues here that the students are expected to present the data obtained using at least 2 appropriate forms. And I mean, this is something that they should have learned at the initial stage of teaching human and social biology. We usually practice teaching them how to do or how to interpret pie charts, bar graphs, line graphs, those type of things. So you find that it's coming out now in the SBA that they'll not just have to plot these data representation tools, but they'll also have to interpret in their analysis of data. They're expected to state relevant conclusions based on the findings, and they're making recommendations as it pertains to the issue that they are researching. They're supposed to provide a personal, now, Mr. Gentle people who have been asking, this is one of the areas that everybody's going to have to do. They're going to have to provide a personal reflection on the completion of the project and present the report in an appropriate, of course, everybody has to account for that the report must be presented. But this is definitely the personal reflections, right? That's definitely something that has to be individual. Okay, let me see here. Is it one group, Mark? Open groups? No. Okay. All right. In terms of the administration of the SBA, now this is where the teacher comes into play. Students are to be instructed that, you know, they would work either in groups or individuals to gather the data that they, you know, they need for their research, right? The tools used to gather the data, we'll talk about that later on. All right. Each candidate must be identified on the report, right? So in a group project, we're expecting to see each candidate's name and identification number. Now, this is a point that is quite important, and I hope everybody can appreciate the fact that the report should not exceed 1,000 words, excluding the bibliography, charts, tables, pictures, references, and appendices. So let's just look at this now. And those of us who have written, we know that, well, I talk a lot. I mean, by the time you start getting into a research, 1,000 words is, you know, I think, well, it's probably just my opinion there that 1,000 words is pretty easy to write. So your 1,000 words now, you know, is going to include the background, problem statement, research objective, your methodology, which has to be very detailed. As you can see, a total of 8 marks, good. And this 8 marks, you know, this is a whole heap of detail and instruction that the child will have to give for this methodology. And then certain aspects of your presentation of data will contribute to that 1,000 words. I mean, your tables, your graphs, and your charts won't contribute, right? But if there are any other statements, this, you know, presenting that data, observations, that would be included in the 1,000 words. And then the section where they're analyzing the data, this is a descriptive and discussionary area, right? So they will be required to you know, all of that will be contributing to that 1,000 words. So right, okay. All right, I'm seeing in the chat here, 1,000 is a very small amount. I agree, Ms. Monroe. I'm seeing in the chat here, my understanding is group work is conducted up to the data collection, right? They branch off individually from analysis onwards. So basically, and I agree with that point, and that's why I mentioned just now that the reflection, which is down here, which is a 6 marks per, which is going to be extensive as well in terms of their discussion and what they see, that would be one of the key components that is going to show a lot of individuality and you know, that the students will have to do on their own. So for the most part, ladies and gentlemen, I am seeing, where's the understanding again? Okay, let me ask a question here. How are you asking your students to submit this SBA? Let me ask that. Is it a case where you're submitting one project with everybody's name, or are most of our colleagues doing individual, separate? You are doing separate. Could anybody expound on that for me, please? Just open your mic and let's have a discussion on that.
Sir, may I say something quickly?
Go ahead, Miss Reed.
Yes, what I understand, they do the group work,
Right.
but they submit individual projects. So if I have 5 individuals in a group, everything up to the data collection will be the same for those 5 individuals in their individual work. But right after the data collection, then the rest of the work would be personalized, so to speak. So if you have 30 students in 6 groups,
okay,
for those students, you'll see similar information for the first half, but the latter half of their individual work now would be personalized. That's how so you'll end up getting 5 different projects, but the first half would be similar for the 5 people.
Because the research would be basically the same. I appreciate that. Let me ask a question. I see persons saying, where was it? That is group 1 project with multiple names. Can anybody, just before Miss Bonnick, you can go, but I'd just like to to ask, what would that look like? For those of you who are doing one project with multiple names, what would that look like? Because that is what I had in my head, to be honest. So Ms. Bonnick, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Bonnick, you can go first and let me hear what you have to say, and then let's talk about the rest after. Go ahead, Ms. Bonnick.
Good morning, colleagues.
Morning.
So, good. I concur with my colleague earlier with sharing what she allowed her students to do. However, from point 6, 7, 8, and 9, I'm thinking that those are individual.
Right.
However, when it comes on to the group project, as she noted, is that the group part of the project is that all the students would have the same grading, but for the bottom section, they would have different grade, which indicate that all students will turn in their work individually. That's my understanding.
Understood. I wanted to, Miss Anderson, Marvet, you can go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing that my colleague just said. The first part is for group. So each person in the group will have the same information up to that point. So everybody in that group will get the same grade. That first part is marked out of 19. Then from 6 to the rest of the project is marked out of 21, and so that would be the individual grade for the person. So everybody in the group is gonna get the same mark up until the presentation of data. After that, that's when they will get their individual marks for that section. That would separate all the members in the particular group. And so every student will have to submit an SBA.
Well, okay, thank you, Ms. Anderson. I'm seeing 2 hands raised. I'm seeing Ms. Reed, your hand is up. You can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say that is why now on every individual assignment, you still have to list the group members. So when I'm marking, I know now that you and 4 others or you and 2 others are in the group. So when I mark for these other 2 students, I'm expecting to see the same information for the first 9 marks.
Right. My question though, thanks, Ms. Reed. My question though was for the person, I see more than one persons in the chat had indicated, and I just want to have a discussion on this. I don't want anybody to feel, as if we're drawing you out, because I know that the general consensus would be that from points 6 onwards, that those would be individual. But I still want to hear what would the SBA look like for a person who has submitted an SBA? What was in the thought process for somebody who would have submitted an SBA with all 5 names on it, one project? What would that look like for you? Please, anybody who had started to do it like that, or that was your understanding of what was instructed. Go ahead. Anyone? Ms. Bonnick, I see your hand up. You can go ahead. All right, Ms. Anderson, go ahead. One project with multiple names.
When you collect the SBA from an individual, that individual project would have on her name, her candidate number, the sector number, the teacher's name, the subject, the school, and the territory. Right. So that's what the individual project would look like.
That's what the individual want to look like, but I'm seeing here one project with multiple names. Miss Douglas, thank you so much, Miss Anderson. Miss Douglas, you can go ahead.
I had group before because prior to today, I did not know that there are sections that are to be individualized.
Yeah, there were.
6 to 9. I must have missed that workshop apparently. So I said group because all of my girls are either conducting the research now or they're with me getting approval for the questions that they've designed for their tools. So I'm not at that section yet where they have to do it individually.
Thank you.
So that's why I placed groups. So as I listen, I learned the approach and I understand. So thank you, colleagues.
Thank you as well. I have learned just a bit there as well, and I appreciate the interaction. So we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, that, and we have been saying from the start, that they can do the research in groups, but there are components that they have to do individually. Now, I don't think personally I sat just now and really thought about the fact that you are really and truly you're expecting, even after conducting the research in groups, that you really are expecting to get individual, research in hand from the students. So I thank you all for pointing that out. I am seeing some new hands, calling them new hands. Miss Simone Simpson, you can go ahead. And I'm just asking if it is that your hand is not raised, like you don't have a question right now, if you could lower it. So I'm expecting that the hands that I'm seeing are persons who have comments. All right, go ahead, Miss Simpson.
All right, good morning. I joined a little bit late, so I don't know if this question was already addressed. I have a group of students, right? Only about 4 persons indicated that they wanted to work in a group. Okay. All the others indicated that they wanted to do it individually. I just want to know if that is an issue, if everyone has to work in a group or it has to be all individual.
It wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be an issue since they are carrying out a valid research on their own. It's just that they would not have the support of their colleagues. It makes it a little bit easier for the teacher, I think, and for the student too. If you have little groups of 4, they come together, they work out the methodology together, they work out, carrying out and gathering the data together. That makes it easier for the student, it makes it easier for the teacher. But yeah, we know that we have some students, especially because you're online and it's a pandemic, they may find it more, to work alone. So as long as
his standpoint in terms of everybody has to work in a group for a particular teacher or everybody has to work individually. I just wanted to know that standpoint, what it was.
Right. Okay. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you. You say it doesn't matter.
No, because they all have to submit an individual report on individual pieces or individual components, right?
Right.
So if they want to work alone, and for some kids, we know our children, right? We know that some of them prefer to work independently, right? But I'm saying it could be easier for the child and easier for the teacher if there is some amount of and then another issue that you may end up with, Miss Simpson, is if you have a class of 40. Let's be realistic now. Jamaican government say 25 to a class. We know that a subject like HSB carries a lot of students, right? You have a class of 40 kids, and you have quite a bit of them saying to you that, oh, miss, I want to work alone. You are going to have a lot of marking to do. Because instead of taking groups of 4 from scratch to where they need to be, you're now going to have to take all 40 students from scratch to where they need to be. And that sounds like 40 different research topics, or even if they group the topics, then it's a lot of individual marking. So I don't know. I mean, if you're comfortable with that, then but it's not a problem in terms of the regulations. You won't be in breach of any regulations, and I'm sure that's a question you're asking. I just want to point out some of these comments in the chat. Not a problem. Good morning, everyone. The individual submission is a directive from CXC, as I was made to understand differently at a CXC workshop. Is this a question? I'm not sure if this is a question or a comment. I'm not sure how to respond to it. Honestly, for a large group of students, it's a lot of work, even if the group method, is a group method is used, as you would still have to go through each SBA and on its own submission. When I think about the human and social biology SBA and I think about group work, I think about labs. They work in groups, they collect the data, right? But their analysis and interpretation is going to be different. Their reflections are going to be different, right? That's what I think of. So you really do end up marking a great portion of the SBA for each individual student, right? Can I have Miss Mitchell, Nicole Mitchell? Well, Nicole Mitchell, you go ahead. Seeing your hand raised there.
Good morning, everybody.
Mr. Mitchell. My apologies.
Yes, question. So what if the students have just one topic using, because at the school I teach in High, so we decided to help the students, make it easier for them, so they have one broad topic they choose from. They would write their own background. We tell them what to put in the background, look for the information that they should put in, and they select the problem statement and the research objectives and write the questionnaire. Is that okay? If everybody in the class have the same topic, like one general topic, say for example.
Let's be very detailed, you know, Mr. Mitchell, before I respond. When you say they all have one topic, what do you mean?
All right, it's like we are the teachers, we come up with a topic for them, then we give them a topic in which they can do a research on, and we'll give them the observation, right? And what they would do now is that they would do their background information research. They would write out their problem statement, research objective, and questionnaire. But I'm asking, is it okay for each student to have the same broad topic, but they will be doing it individually? But is it okay to have the same topic?
Colleagues, let me. Thanks, Mr. Mitchell. I'm going to try and respond to your question now.
Okay.
Colleagues, let me hear what you think. For me personally, first and foremost, I want to gently dissuade you, Mr. Mitchell, from giving them a topic. I think that's where I want to start. I think the children need to be given the opportunity. I know that it's a lot of work. I know that for a lot of our kids, you have to give them a jump start before they get the work done. I understand that. But as much as possible, we want the SBA to reflect the child's interests, and we want it to reflect a great deal of individuality in terms of, you know, what they come up with, right? Now, the SBA should also complement the syllabus. So the scope, the breadth, the depth of the syllabus needs to come up with the SBA. So I mean, I would want to gently dissuade you from having the entire batch with just one topic. I'm not sure if that's something personally I'd want to see. No, we are encouraging groups. We're encouraging groups. We're encouraging students to form groups of 4 and groups of 5, and those within those groups of 4 and groups of 5 would have the same topic. As a matter of fact, they'll have the same background and research, whichever objectives and so on. So that I believe we could encourage. But for an entire cohort, then one topic, so everybody in the cohort, and that's what I wanted you to tell me. What do you mean by the same topic? Are you looking at different aspects of COVID-19? Are you looking at how they affect different sectors of social life and economy? Are you looking at diabetes and different aspects of diabetes?
Okay, all right. So what we do is
everybody looking at COVID-19 and its socioeconomic, like what do you mean by the same topic? To what extent are the topics the same?
It would be like vector control, and it will be about vector control.
So is everybody using a different method?
The thing here to show you.
So you said vector control. Are we using different methods? Are we talking about different types of vectors? Because I'm thinking that you'd want to.
So the main focus would be with the mosquito. Like some will focus on methods of mosquito control. Some will focusing on the effects of mosquito bites or the diseases on persons in their different
Okay.
communities.
So what you have done, Mr. Mitchell, sorry to cut you. What you have done, Mr. Mitchell, is not necessarily give them a topic. You have given them a theme, right? So vector control is a theme which they can pull different topics from, right? I think that is a little better. When you say give them a topic now, it sounds as if everybody going to do the mosquito breeding.
So what they'll be doing is doing research in their own communities, because they'll be giving out the questionnaire in their own communities. Yeah.
Right. So that sounds a little bit better to me. So I'd ask you to give us a little bit more detail. It sounds as if you're now guiding them a lot along a theme, right? Good. And yes, they can take, what make some individuality, make it their own, the theme their own. Colleagues with their hands up, let me know what you think. Margaret Anderson, Miss Chambers Biggs, go ahead, please. Miss Reed, anyone?
Okay, I'm just seeking clarity here. If we have 4 persons in a group, they would have been doing the background, the problem statement up to that point where they work as a group. When they get to the individual part and they do it, they still will have to hand in 4 separate projects.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yes,
yes,
sir.
That is right.
Yes.
That is the understanding.
Yes. That is. All right. Let me see who is going now. So
Mrs. Reed.
Mrs. Reed, go ahead.
Yes. Sorry about that. Yes,
that's
that
okay.
is the understanding. 4 persons in a group, but you're submitting 4 individual pieces of work at the end of it. And finally, I don't know if anybody online was in a workshop last school year, when they were having workshop to introduce the SBA. Somebody from CXC had said to us, if you're going to do group, let it be group right across the board for your school. Or if you're going individual, let it be individual right across the board. So I think you need to just get some clarification from one of them to let you know for sure.
I did write it down, because I'm going to send a message to Miss Williams and ask one of the representatives from CXC to really address it and clear it up. So I promise I'll reach out to Miss Williams and have that, that question, that situation tabled. But I am in agreement with you, Miss Reed, that if it is that they are doing groups, I'm not sure if I'm in agreement with the section that says the statement you made a while ago that says to make everybody do group or make everybody do individual, because we can afford some flexibility based on our situation. We could, right? If you look at SBA and how it is organized, you could have a student doing an individual SBA with this type of SBA. You could have students working in groups of 4, right? But to answer Miss...
No problem, sir. It's just that I was repeating what they told us in that previous meeting.
Okay, thank you. And to answer Miss Chambers Big's question, yes, right? I believe that at this point in time, we have all come to the consensus and that we are all on the same page that we are collecting individual researches, right? No.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Not a problem. No, I wanted to also, in addition to that, just point out something that one of my colleagues had asked in the chat that will further, where is it? Here it is. That will further support this point. If we are familiar, if any of us are familiar with the whole CXC submission system, it's a little different for biology, chemistry, and physics. If you remember, they submit their lab books and their lab books are moderated on site. But human and social biology is going to be one of those subjects that is similar to the agricultural science SBA, right? Where the students submit their SBA, that SBA is marked, it has to be scanned and uploaded, right? And the samples uploaded. So I'm seeing the question here where is CXC asking for soft copies. I believe that we will eventually have to scan and upload those SBAs depending on your exam coordinator's requirements, right? Because some teachers I know generally speaking, you are required to show where you'd have assigned marks and provided feedback within the hard copy. So I would say final submission should be soft copy, which I agree with, but there should be some hard copy which you would have marked, I would suggest, even if you request a hard copy. So what we do at the Carteret, the SBA submitted in hard copy, the teacher marks SBA, and at the end of marking, the cover sheet and the SBA are scanned and uploaded. So the soft copy is submitted to CXC. All right. So I just wanted to point that out. So if that is the case, you really would expect to see individual pieces of work for the students, because at that point, the students' SBAs are uploaded according to their candidate number. All right. I hope that provided some clarity. Somebody said 38 minutes. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, Ms. Chambers, do you have another question?
Sorry, I just wanted to give you like a time reminder.
Thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Ms. Anderson, you have another question?
I guess you said what I was going to say, that yes, the work is done in group. Each person's name should be on the individual project. So they'll submit individually, but each member of the group is to be on the individual project that is submitted.
Thank you. Something slipped my mind. I'm almost certain I was about to ask a question and I don't remember the question. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are all clear on what is expected in terms of how the SBA is supposed to look, but I'm just going to go over in terms of, designing. I want to spend some time and talk about designing that problem statement, right? So let's talk about designing that problem statement. Oh, I remember. I'll just pause here to ask a question. I want your feedback, ladies and gentlemen. I don't remember the name of my colleague who asked the question, but my colleague asked the question about providing topics for the students, and it said topics. At the end of the discussion with my colleague just now, I realized that he didn't necessarily provide a topic. What he provided was a general theme. I mean, vectors and disease. I mean, that's broad. They can do 101 things.
Vector and disease control. Sorry.
Come again, sir?
It's vector and disease control.
Vector and disease control. Thank you, sir. So I want to know what you think about the whole process of, I know that some of my colleagues initially would have mentioned that they would have, guided their students to do research, but what do you think about the process of actually providing the students? So tell me what you're doing. Are you all doing one topic? Are you all doing one theme? Especially those of us who are doing group work. Let's talk about that just for a minute before I talk about the problem statement. Anyone? Go ahead, Ms. Reed. Mrs. Reed.
Sir, again, for the last workshop, CXC did sent a list of suggested topics and objectives from the syllabus that we could look at and use. Right. And I think that was sent out in the A.S.T.J group as well. Right. So people would have had that, and that is where I worked from.
Yeah, but still, a teacher could take one broad topic and tell the entire class to do it. Is that what we're doing? Is that a practice of ours? Or are we saying to the students, listen, here's a syllabus, here are some areas that you could look at, and allowing them to choose, from the areas.
That's what I did. I sent them the list and tell them to look at what they're comfortable doing. And if they're not comfortable with any of those, they could come up with their own. So I gave them that option.
Okay. I wanted to know, for those of you, or let me just continue here. Miss Lavana Douglas, go ahead.
Good morning again.
Morning.
So what I did was I looked at the instruction, which was the current health related or environmental issue and it's socio-economic. So I divided for them just to make them understand what the question is.
Right.
So I said, okay, you're either going to comment on a health-related or environmental issue. So then we look at some, what is topical in terms of health-related, what is topical in terms of environmental, and we brainstormed some topic, and for health-related, we came up with hypertension, COVID-19, diabetes, AIDS, those things that are affecting the Caribbean.
Right.
And then for environmental, there was air pollution, water pollution, coral reef degradation, soil erosion, all of that, deforestation. And I told them anything objective related to the socioeconomic on this topic or any other topic that you came up with is appropriate, and then we listed what do we mean by socioeconomic? Is it an impact on education, health, economic status, employment, income, profit? And so that's how I broke it down. I didn't get that guide, so if the guide could be sent to me, I would love that.
I didn't get it either. Well, I think I got it. Hold on, let me backtrack. Let me pedal back on that. I think it was posted in the A.S.T.J group. I don't think I read it.
Yeah, but you had to have gone to the workshop and join the classroom, the Google Classroom to access it. If you were not at the workshop and in the Google Classroom, you can't access it.
I get you. Thank you so much. Ms. Thompson, go ahead. Antonia Thompson.
Good morning. So basically the approach that I took with gearing my students towards their area of interest was that I asked them to look around their community or school or the media to see any health or environmental issue that was very topical. I especially told them to observe their community and find something within those two broad areas that interest them that they wanted to focus on. A lot of them could identify water pollution as an issue. They could identify air pollution as an issue. So we have a few students who are focusing on that area. Then there were a few who saw some health-related conditions, either what they observed in their family are based on what they would have seen in the media. So they were able to focus on non-communicable diseases. There are even students who used their experience being online and the fact that they were now snacking more often, the types of snacks that they were consuming and how that could affect their health.
Right. So I get the general sense that we're all allowing the students to do different, topics and different areas. And I just wanted to point out a comment, one of my colleagues just made a while ago, which I think is very important, that your research topic should have, I would want to use the expression two variables, right? Research topic should have two variables. So we are analyzing or assessing a health-related issue or an environmental-related issue on its socioeconomic impacts. So that's what we're looking at. So the research statement must have both. I have seen students submit research topics to me that just mention a health-related issue, but not necessarily analyzing what is expected or what they are really researching surrounding this health-related issue. So it really needs to speak to some socioeconomic impact. And we know that our syllabus in general, if you even look at some of your past papers, you realize that we don't just study diabetes. And I know my colleagues would agree with me on this. We don't just study diabetes, but we study how diabetes affects the economy. We study how diabetes affects the family. We talk about the social implications of diabetes. And we have seen time and time again where questions have come to talk about the impact of the disease on the economy. I remember some time ago, there was this past paper question on HIV/AIDS and its impact on the workforce, right? So, or its increase over time and its impact on the workforce. So I think that's a good way to kind of guide the students as we guide them through the SBA, trying to help them to understand and appreciate the fact that, hey, listen, this SBA is supposed to really bridge the gap between biology, and economy or biology and socioeconomic dynamics, right? Thank you so much, colleagues. I see Ms. Thompson, your hand is raised again, and Ms. Douglas thereafter.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't remember to lower my hand after responding.
Thank you, not a problem. Ms. Douglas?
Hi, I tell what's my concern is, you know, the whole ethical aspect of research, because my students are doing things like diabetes, AIDS, breast cancer for some of their health issues. And it's like they want to go like to the National Breast Society, and some of the students are involved in research with minors. So they're wondering if we're strict on like the letter of permits and the letter seeking thing for the appendix.
So let's go now. It is research, and we as a teachers really do have to guide the students as it pertains to the scope of the research, right? So that's the first thing I'll say. We want to guide them in terms of the scope of research. The research is supposed to be conducted in their school environment, in their home environment. I appreciate your question. It's something that I'm going to have to look into as it pertains to the ethical considerations, you know, researching with minors, that type of thing. That's a question that I may have to ask, you know, my colleagues, but and the reason I'm saying monitor the scope of the project is because I have seen SBA topics coming to me, and the way they are worded would require research outside of the facilities that are available to my students. I have had to guide them away from that. So I wanted to point that out, and I'll look into talking about ethical concerns. That's another concept I'll have to write down, and I have to probably ask Ms. Williams to address that when we get back to the big group. All right. So thank you for that. Okay, so I did get a chance to mention just now, you know, how the problem statement really should be structured. I think all of us are on the same page with that. Either a health, and I loved how one of my colleagues was able just now to mention some of the health related issues that are in the scope of the syllabus, right? And so that is something that we do need to consider. Right. And in addition to that, my colleague was also able to mention some of the environmental related issues that are in the scope of the syllabus. As it pertains to socioeconomic impact, we do see where the syllabus gives us some hints on that as well. So we want to stick close to our syllabus and you know, have that done that type of way. We also want to leave this meeting with the general consensus that, hey, listen, students who are working in groups will work together on the topic. They'll work together on the problem statement and background, research objective, methodology, and they can work together on presentation of data. But when we come to points 6 to 10, we would see a great deal of individuality for those. I think we have also come to the consensus that we're seeing different submissions for each student. All right. At the front, I remember I did say before, at the front, I think it would be prudent to include the group members' names for those who are working in groups. All right. I mean, I think I have within this session covered all all my objectives. I'm not sure if anybody else here has any questions, any comments that you wish to share. We'd really appreciate, you know, you opening your mic and just engaging us in that type of way. There is a Google Classroom for this session, a project for each individual who has attended the workshop will be posted in the Google Classroom. That project would entail, yes, I will share the samples. I could just pull up one of the samples and have a look at it right now. But I will provide the details of that project in the group. For us, for human and social biology, our project will be SBA oriented. So we're going to be coming up with our own topics for this SBA, and we're going to just do a layout of how we would carry out our SBA. So that's what we'll be doing for our project. There are other projects, of course, with other subjects. Ms. Bonik, I see your hand is up. You can go ahead while I pull up this sample.
Thank you very much again. What I'm encountering, right, is that some of my students, they're migrating. We know that for groups,
no, baby, no.
We should have about 5 person in each group, right? We should have 5 person in each group. And so some of my students, they're migrating. What if we have 1 student? Can that student turn in their work?
So you're saying that some of your students are migrating. What if we had 1 student turn in the work? That's what you're saying?
Yes. Is that acceptable by CXC, or is we still have to focus on the group?
I'm trying to get what you mean. What do you mean by 1 student turning in the work? All
right. So first, when they started out as a group, because the first part of the SBA, it's group.
Right.
However, in what we're facing now at school is that a lot of students, especially in COVID, they were basically online, but not in the country. And so what happened is that for some, they're just not coming back.
Okay.
We're experiencing that right now. And they were in group doing the SBA. No,
so you're asking if they can transition to individual?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. Thank you.
I wouldn't see why there would be a problem with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I wouldn't see why there would be a problem with that. Right? Because either way, at the end of it, you would have to submit an individual grade and an individual piece. So that shouldn't be an issue. Mr. Gooden, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I'm teaching multiple subjects, so I just came on to the HSBA presentation, and there was one thing that I wanted to ask in the overview. All right, from the samples that I've seen, maybe it's because I'm used to a certain level, but it seems overly simplistic.
True.
So I was wondering, would it be okay in getting, how should I say, other sources and give a more thorough overview, or do we keep to the simplistic level that?
So thanks, very good. I think that's a very good point to note, because I'm just about to pull up one of the samples so you can see what the samples I have look like. So I agree with you, definitely, that the samples, the overview and the samples are very, I think they're a little bit too, they don't adequately describe what you're expecting to see for your overview. At the same time, I remember earlier I had said, now, grant you, ladies and gentlemen, the samples that we're talking about, they're basically 1 sentence for an overview. That's what we're seeing in the samples, and I'll show you. It's just 1 sentence. And that's why I said earlier, I think a sufficient overview is, I'm thinking that it should be at least a paragraph, 1 paragraph. That way, the child is able to adequately discuss what he's observing and why it is a concern without moving away from the word limit, I will be posting, thanks Mr. Goodner, I hope that answered the question. So I would guide them to at least a paragraph. Right? I'll guide them to at least a paragraph. I'm going to share in the chat the code for the WhatsApp for the Google Classroom. So for those of us who want to be added to that, we can go ahead. While Miss Anderson asks her question.
All right, My colleague that shared about students migrating that were part of a group, we faced that problem too. But so what we did, because there's a group limit of 5, so if a group didn't have that maximum 5 students, then we would ask them to accommodate that one student that would be by herself, because I'm at an all girls school. So that one person was able to join a group that did not exceed the maximum 5 students. So rather than having a mix where you have individual and groups, if you other person migrated.
I think that's a good idea. I think that would be I think that would be a good suggestion as well. I'm seeing another good question that I need to ask, because there are. So I'm seeing in the chat, Mr. Claude, how many questions must be in the questionnaire? Now the questionnaire is one tool that we can use for the methodology. And I think for this type of research, being that it is mainly a qualitative research, a questionnaire may be really the best choice. Qualitative in most aspects, because there are quantitative aspects to it. So I think a questionnaire may be the best choice. I think also that there are, how do I express this? I don't want to say rules. I think there are guidelines when writing a questionnaire. Now, I personally believe that I also need a little bit more guidance on how to design the questionnaire. And that is something that, needs to be facilitated so that we can know exactly how this questionnaire is supposed to look. So that is something that has been running through my mind, and I'm going to ask for support on that. For those of you who are asking about the Google Classroom code, it is I, that's a capital S, it's in the chat. There's a capital I, S.G.V. 2BZ, right? I have placed it in the chat. I'll put it there again at the end of the session. I'm seeing what are the key components of the methodology. Allow me just to jump back to the methodology, please, and we'll respond to that. But generally speaking, for those of us who know a little bit about the methodology, what you're expecting to see is the student expressing how they are going to collect the information that they're seeking out. So they're doing a research on a specific topic. The methodology seeks to discuss exactly how they're going to conduct this research. Where am I? So a mark scheme, a very detailed mark scheme, is in the syllabus. And also, if you look at the general objectives of the SBA, you will see within it the general objective for the methodology. Right? Let me just scroll up here. I'm not sure if anybody has their syllabus open right now, because mine is giving me a little bit of a problem. But if you could just go ahead, I don't know if anybody wants to help me in making a response to this question. What does your methodology look like? Let's scroll down here. You can just go ahead. Okay, here we are. Is it still up? This is Miss Wharton, code not working. I'll adjust the code. Are you guys hearing me? Is my computer kind of freezing?
Can you scroll down a little bit, please?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, thank you. So the methodology. Now, those of us who I'm thinking that all of us would have been exposed to some amount of research. The methodology, in any methodology, you speak about things like a sample, method of data collection, and that is exactly what is being required here. So the sample speaks to the group that you are using, the group of individuals that you are using to collect data for your research. So these are the people who you are going to give your questionnaire, right? So are you giving your questionnaire to individuals in a community, you know, members of your community? Are you giving the questionnaire to students, fellow students in your class, at your school, or is your research concentrated in your church? I don't know, but you can describe your sample. Your sample needs to be identified. You could even talk about how many people are within your sample, that type of thing. And then your data collection instrument needs to be identified. So I think for the most part, most of us are using questionnaires. So we talk about the fact that we're using a questionnaire. This questionnaire, it's COVID. So, I mean, this questionnaire may not be a hard document, right? So you may have used a Google form. You could talk about the distribution of that questionnaire, you know, there, right? Method of data collection, right, is identified, right? How are you distributing? Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Thompson. Of course, this would have to be in past tense because it isn't a proposal. It is what the student has done, right? So you're basically telling how you would have collected the data, right? And the method of data collection is now the first 3 points would basically tell you what is supposed to be in there, and then the 5th point, one limitation of data collection, right? Of course, that's something that we know how to analyze, okay? That's something we know how to analyze in terms of limitations, limitation of our study, anything that we'd have looked at that may have affected the validity of our research. We wanted to include that in the methodology. So thank you so much. I hope that that was, you know, that response was good. I hope you were able to pull something from that. Oh, I did see someone mention earlier if we could address the use of personal pronouns in research. No. Yes, colleagues, please, you're better at this than I am. Can anyone just speak to the whole matter of personal pronouns? Are you having your children talk about I, me, we in the research?
Yes, some use researcher, some use I.
Yes.
Using the term researcher wouldn't necessarily be considered a personal pronoun, no, would it? So the researcher did X or Y, but I mean, when you start saying I and we, I mean, do we think that that is acceptable? Because
No, it is not. But
It
what about
should
the
be.
reflection?
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
it
hold on.
should
I'm hearing 2 different things. Miss Anderson, you're saying that it should be acceptable?
Yeah, yes, because it's reflection, it's your reflection.
No, not in the reflection.
So I have to talk about how you.
Not in the reflection.
Where
because if you're using it in the
beginning,
reflection, I'd agree with you. Because the reflection is showing now the implications on the researcher. So I'd agree with you there. But in the body of the study, for example, in the methodology, you're writing your methodology in past tense. Would you use personal pronouns in your methodology? Anyone?
No.
No, no, no.
Right, thank you. I agree that for the reflection that, you know, you would describe how the knowledge gained has impact on you, right? But I'm not in agreement in terms of the rest of the body. I think in any research you try to, it is almost like you're trying to remove yourself from the data as to disallow any thought of you know, personal biases within the data, if that's a more complicated way of expressing it, you know. So you try to you know, stay away from personal pronouns and anything personal to make sure that, you know, you secure the validity of your data, right? Good, thank you so much. I saw another question. I hope that responded to your question. Colleagues, if you have any comments, please. I believe we're at 11:50 and that time has escaped us. I mean, this discussion, I, you know, really enjoyed it. I hope we get more platforms like this. Okay, in terms of the link, I'm going to post the link. I was actually looking for it just now. I'm having a little bit of, you see, online teaching has damaged my laptop. That is the only thing I can say at this point, because everything moves slow. But if I realize one of my colleagues did share the link to join the Google Classroom, please, if you could just jump on the link and join, and then we could be able to facilitate further discussion in the group. I remember I saw a comment, you know, if the samples that we have are from CXC, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't see CXC's imprint on it, and I don't know where they came from. But what I do know is that the samples that I have are a good basis for discussion. And as such, I use them in that context, right? And even while using the sample, as I said, as one of my colleagues pointed out, that the back or the overview in the sample, I didn't necessarily agree with it being one sentence. So I'm going to suggest that even as we go through the sample, we work with our syllabus and we look at what the syllabus requires. I'm going to sort out the links. I'm going to talk to Ms. Williams before we get off of this session, or before we leave the main group, and we'll have those available to us. Ms. Ellis, I saw your hand up. You can go ahead and share with us.
Hi, I was made aware some time ago that there's a JSTC, a WhatsApp group for HSE. I've been trying to be a part of that group. Does anybody have the in-group link invite where I could join? I'm in the bio one, but I would like to be in the HSB one, because that is the one that has the SBA that I have questions for.
Okay. What you can do is, all right, I'm gonna put my number in the chat. I'm gonna put my number in the chat so you can, right? So that's my phone number, and I'm putting an email address there as well. So link me and I'll try to make sure you get added to that group, all right, please. All right, Miss Bonnick, you can go ahead. Oh, just a minute. Go ahead, Miss Bonnick.
All right, for the Google Classroom, when I do enter the Google Classroom, it states that the evaluation form is there, and it states that the evaluation form is no longer accepting response. Can you make any clarity towards that for me, please?
Yes, I will speak to the administrator on that. I believe I'm of the opinion, or the reason why it's no longer accepting responses is that it might not be open as yet. So that's probably why you're not able to access it. But I'll speak to the administrator on that. So even if by the end of the day, you know, when you probably have a little free time, you could go through that. That's if you have.
Thank you. And another thing is, earlier when I spoke about you know, the number of students migrating.
Right.
One of my colleagues made mention that she allowed her students to go over into another group.
Right.
Which begged for me now to ask the question, is it that we allow the entire class to do one topic or more than one topic?
So that was the question I was asking earlier. And I wanted to dissuade my colleagues from having everybody doing the same topic. But that's why I said it, because I thought by you telling me that a student would have migrated, I'm assuming that the group would, the reason why it's an issue in the first place is that because the group would have started their research and would have, you know, done some amount of work, right? And so now at this juncture that somebody has left the group and leaving this child alone, that child is not as a position that is a problem for him to join another group because he'd have done some amount of work. So that's why I was saying that, you know, we could have him just complete that research project, which was previously group work. We can now just make it individual because he might have done a great bit of research and it would be hard for him to join another group, which may very well be doing a different topic, right? So that was from the premise that I was coming from. But you have asked a good question because that's a concern for me, because if it is a case that everybody in the entire class is doing the same topic, I mean, with the breadth and the scope of the syllabus, I think that may not be something good. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, everybody is doing the effect of X amount, this specific pollution on this specific community. I mean, they have different implications. I don't know. That's just me. Everybody have to find a different topic in my class. All the groups have to find different topics. Mr. McLeod, go ahead.
Yes, sir. If a student doesn't submit a SBA, right, and they are part of a group, then do we give that student the grade for just the group section?
I would want to say yes, because he would have been, you'd have assumed that he would have been a part of that. All right. So you'd have wanted to allot him the grade for that section. How many questions? All right, colleagues, listen, I'm seeing a message here that the breakout room is going to close in the next 40 odd seconds. So listen what you're going to do for me. Write down, let me take a screenshot of this. Write down your questions, right? So when we go back over to the main group, we can you know, partner with our other colleagues in answering them, right? And I will also love to ask Ms. Williams to, well, we will facilitate further discussion through the Google Classroom. So they are running us out. This was great. Thank you so much, colleagues. Okay.
Entire 105 minutes stipulated for your session.
Mr. Lawrence, I'm pertinent enough to request a few moments if that is possible. And speaking of the voice of my colleagues who were in the room, we're enjoying ourselves, but we had one more task that we really wanted to carry through. Is that possible, sir?
Mrs. Williams, I will defer that decision to you, Madam Chair.
Wow. We'll wrap up, and then I'm sure we can afford you an extra 15 after. Would that work?
Oh, great. Thank you.
Mr. Lawrence, that can work?
Yes, that should be fine.
Okay. So those who need to leave can leave, you know? Okay, everybody's back now?
I think so, Mom. I think so.
Okay. All right. I trust that we had a truly rewarding and collaborative day. You can type some initial comments in the chat. My internet is becoming unstable. So you can type some initial comments in the chat. Also in the chat, you will see WhatsApp groups and classroom. Your presenters would have posted some of that as well. Some of us fell off, but we didn't give up. I might have come on maybe 10 times on both my phone and laptop, but these explain our colleagues and our students. We must thank our presenters from the Caribbean Examinations Council, Dr. Leagana O'Neill and Mr. Devere Whitehall, all the way from headquarters in Barbados this morning. We have to thank our presenters in the breakout rooms, agriculture, Mr. Lawton, Mr. Dookie, biology, Ms. Rose, chemistry, Mr. Setti, Dr. Taylor Campbell, environmental science, Mr. Callum, HSB, Mr. Walsh, integrated science, Mrs. Price Francis, and physics, Mr. Davis and Mr. Roberts. We could not have had a successful workshop without all of you. And we know the work continues as we go into our classrooms and on the WhatsApp groups. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been given this wonderful opportunity. Let's keep the collaboration going. Let us complete our evaluation forms. Let us complete our assignments. Don't be like the students. Let's complete our assignments so that we can receive our certificate of professional development for these 3 hours. Join our WhatsApp groups, become a registered member of the association. We have more in store. We will see you online. Blessings and continue to keep safe. I think 1 or 2 groups would like to meet for maybe 15 minutes extra to complete some work. So we will allow for that after this.
Madam Chair,
yes, ma'am.
There are some inquiries as to the evaluation form. I think they really want to tell you how great the session was. So if you have a link for that, you could put it in the chat, as well as information for membership. We want to catch them while they're touched.
Once you complete the evaluation form at the end, you will see information regarding membership. All right. And there's also the WhatsApp link as well.
Madam Chair, that is speaking right now. Does it matter which email Gmail address you use for the breakout or our MOE, ministry MOE?
If you use you cannot use your ministry.
Use regular Gmail.
For the classroom. Gmail. Use a regular Gmail. I am reposting, and I think some hands are up. Mr. Walsh, you just spoke.
Yes.
I'm reposting WhatsApp groups. Mr. Davis is reposting Physics Association group and the classrooms. Wow. Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams. So reposting the group links because my system is freezing up. I hope you're hearing me. I had one concern regarding the evaluation form. I think you might have solved the problem just now by suggesting that we not use our MOE email addresses for that. As teachers, we're trying to fill out the evaluation form and weren't able to do that. There are also some concerns that are specific to human and social biology that I'd really want to share with you. And hopefully in some sessions moving forward, we could have those addressed. All right.
Okay. Remember, in the classroom, you can meet with the HSP persons, and you can actually have another session in the classroom.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm in Belize. We got the link from our registrar. So
wow.
I'm wondering how, because I'm not seeing how to the access for that evaluation, for the evaluation form, because we kind of came in late because like we got it like a few minutes after 9. We got the link a few minutes after 9. So I'm not sure how many other persons are in here from Belize as well. But I'd like to know how to do that. And I guess you answered the question about the Google Classroom. We can use our regular Gmails.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, Madam Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, just reminding everyone, so in order for you to be granted your certificate of professional development for the training, the workshop, there's 2 aspects that you will be required to do. So each subject discipline will have their specific assignment for you to complete, and you will need to complete the evaluation form. The evaluation form can be accessed in the Google Classroom. It should be there in the stream. So once you sign into your respective Google Classroom, the evaluation form will be there along with every other piece of work that you will be required to do for your subject discipline. All right, thank you.
I have one final question. Sorry. Okay, so as I said, because of the suddenness, most of my teachers, because I'm the coordinator for the program, because we mainly do integrated science, I joined that one, but there are teachers who do biology, chemistry, and agricultural, well, environmental science. Can I share the class links with them, those who weren't able to join these sessions for the classroom, so that they can access the material and to be able to complete the assignments?
You can share the link, yes. They may not necessarily get an evaluation form because persons registered and all the names are recorded, those who joined the session. But
excuse me. I'm trying to use my cell phone so that I can access the Gmail. Can you repost the one for chemistry, please? I'm going off the laptop and going in the phone.
I just posted the classroom link for chemistry.
Okay, that sounds like Mrs. Ellis Hall.
Thank you.
Greetings, greetings. Oh, Mrs. Setti, great. All right. Any other questions?
Good afternoon. Can we post the classroom link for agricultural science? I'm not seeing it.
Okay, let me post the entire set of
Yes,
links.
please. Environmental science.
Agricultural science is underneath the part that says code. It's on the first page. So I guess that's why you missed it.
Okay, and they're in alphabetical order.
Not seeing the HNS.
Excuse me, everyone. I just noticed I wasn't really looking on the Meet, on the Zoom, but the codes for the classrooms are actually being presented for us. So whatever class you want, you just go to your Google Classroom, your personal Google Classroom, and join a class, put in those codes, and you'll be able to access it. I just did it, and I got into biology.
Okay, great, great. Can you possibly type some of that as well?
Type the code in the chat for biology.
No, just yes, you can, but also what you just said, because the instructions about going to their personal Gmail and finding the classroom, and they should see typing the code for the Google Classroom. All right, we have a thank you for including Agri and Envy. Yes, we're trying to capture all.
I'm not getting through on this phone. I'm going to change the phone so the number might be a little bit different. I hope my name come up.
All right. I am typing my WhatsApp in the event since you're on your phone and sounds like you're on the road. Elaine Williams, that's my WhatsApp number. You can shoot me a WhatsApp, I'll shoot you the information. If that will assist. Our presenters are also posting the individual codes for your different subjects. Please just type the subject so that you can get it. Do not leave here without getting some link with someone so that you can be a part. All right. Of course, if you did not get the link, I think we'll post them in our WhatsApp groups as well.
There's a raised hand from Garibaldi.
Thank you. Madam Chair, there is a message in the chat that says the integrated science WhatsApp group is full.
Yes, we'll have to create another one.
We're trying to join.
The chemistry and the physics is also filled.
It's full as well. Okay.
Ms. Williams, I didn't hear the information re getting the certificate for this session. I didn't hear what Mr. Lawrence was saying.
Okay, you're going to complete the evaluation form, which is in the Google Classroom, and then you will also complete the assignment for you to get full certification. And
All right, so
again,
I saw where the instructor, I saw where the instructor for biology said it will be posted shortly. Just want to make sure it will be posted in the biology classroom. Where exactly will it be posted?
what's that link?
Can you repeat?
Yes, in the
please?
classroom, in the biology classroom.
Yes, the course will be placed in the classroom. I think we'll have to do another WhatsApp group for science and chemistry. So we also get those posted before the end of the day. All right?
And physics.
Physics is full as well?
I think I heard a gentleman said that just now.
Okay.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not the Physics Teachers Association group. I don't know about the A.S.T.J group.
Check if your
Environmental science Google Classroom not working.
NV. All right, and remember to use your personal Gmail and not the ministry Gmail account.
Ms. Williams?
Go ahead, sir.
Ms. Williams, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Go ahead.
So can I leave?
Oh, yes, yes. That's why we did the closing out. I think one and two groups want to go back in for 15 minutes.
Back to school.
For those who have to leave, thank you. All the best. Go ahead, Pierce. Thank
Ms.
you.
Williams.
All the best.
Wait.
Yeah.
Ms. Williams is saying that agricultural classroom not found. There is no such class.
Stop the spread.
Okay, remember to use your personal Gmail account. Personal Gmail.
Miss, I use my personal Gmail, but it is sent after teacher to resend. It expire.
Maybe. Okay, we will. Thank you.
For agricultural science as well.
Biology. Use the codes. I was doing the exact same thing. Use the codes, you'll get through with the codes.
I use the codes as well, and it's saying the same
Codes
thing.
are not working.
Agri teachers, I think the issue with the agri classroom is that you have to use the link. When I use the code, I wasn't getting through as well, but the link works best.
Can I get the code for InterScience and HSB, please?
All right. Can the presenters just post the link in the chat? Again, if you're having other issues, you can send us an email to astj1950@gmail.com, and that is also in the chat, astj1950@gmail.com. We're trying to assist everyone. I must say thanks. We had over 370 participants today. I know it might be more because some people fell off and came back on. And so we thank you. I think, Mrs. Price, you need to go back in a room, right? Hearing you, please.
Okay. Yes, I'm trying to go back in room 6, of course. Create, I'm seeing some drop down here, create hard room or open all room. Those are the.
I think Pierce will have to put you in. Mr. Lawrence, can you put them in just open a room? Oh, okay. See the breakout room at the bottom? Yes. All right. Thank you all and have a wonderful day. Keep safe. Blessings all around. All right, some of our presenters.
Option is no longer there. I'm no longer seeing.
I am not seeing the option either, Miss.
No, he's working to get it.
Presently, okay, fine.
Hello, here. All right, it's coming up
it's coming up shortly for 15 minutes, breakout room. It's there now. All right, thank you all. Blessings.
Thank you, Miss Williams.
That is just for 15 minutes, so bear that in mind.
All right.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Coombs. Hand is up.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
Just still trying to join, that's all.
Okay, okay, good.
Miss Elaine, good morning, good afternoon.
Morning, greetings.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. I
Very good,
realize we
very
are
good,
now
very good.
truly regional. We are now regional. I have from
Yeah.
Trinidad.
I noticed that we have persons
So we're
all
trying
over.
to assist. Yes.
Yeah, so, and I'm seeing some
And
persons
welcome
from the Turks and Caicos
You're
Island.
what?
I'm seeing
Okay,
some things in the chat about persons trying to get in and who is not able to get in, especially the inter-science classroom. So I don't know if the chats are going to be saved and you will actually be able to look at them afterwards.
actually copy pasting some right now in case, and the Intisai will have to make a new group.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. So really trying to just see what I can do from this end, but can't open my group yet.
Mrs. Williams?
Okay, no problem.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. This
Okay,
thing keep pointing me back to my MOE, and I'm trying to use my other Gmail, but it's just not getting me there.
Okay, type in the chat, name, Gmail and stuff, and we'll see what we can do to assist, okay? All right, somebody needs the Google codes again. Coming up with the codes.
Hello, good
Right, so
afternoon.
there I sent my Gmail. Thanks.
Sent it.
Good afternoon.
Yes, altonevans94@gmail.com. So I just sent that a while ago.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to pop in. All right, somebody's saying good afternoon.
Yeah,
Go
I'm
ahead.
just, I was trying to join the WhatsApp group for chemistry, but it said it was filled.
Yes, I hear it's full. So we're gonna have to form another one and then add persons. That's Mr. Naresh from Trinidad. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So well, I posted my number, my WhatsApp number on the chat. Do I need to send it
Yes,
somewhere?
I collected it. I collected it. I have it here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Can you tell us how you got info about this
Our
presentation?
sent it to us, but they sent it late. But I still joined.
Okay.
I was able to join at 11, but it's a very informative and was a very good. I just made it to the breakout session for chemistry, and that was well done. Right, it was well done.
Thank you so much, and we'll continue to keep the collaboration going.
Yes, definitely. It's much needed in the Caribbean.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And not just a territory affair.
I tell you, regional.
Regional, all the territories, all the territories need to come together for this, yes, especially in these school times.
That is true, that's true. All right, remember, colleagues, use a Gmail, don't use Yahoo, Hotmail or anything, use a Gmail account. I have molecules, I'm seeing you, yes, I'm Roger Woodley. I'm trying to get them. We will get the chat and go through. All right, Institute Sciences School, that's Chambers, yes.
All right,
Miss, where do we get the evaluation form?
In the Google Classroom.
We're not getting in the Google Classroom.
We're not getting in there, Miss.
Okay, most likely you'll also get it. We'll try and send it through the email once we're finished, okay?
Okay, can we leave? Can I leave at that?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
So I should just check my email a little later because I want to go by the workplace, you know.
Okay.
Because I joined from home. So I want to go. So I could complete the evaluation and the other pieces of activity later on.
Yes, you can. You can.
All right, thanks. And it was a wonderful workshop here. Very informative.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, bless you.
Thanks for your prayers. Thanks for your prayers as always.
All right, my dear. And we keep in touch. Have a great day.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
All right.
Where's the evaluation? I missed that, sorry.
I'm sending the A.S.T.J 1950 at Gmail. Please just post to the Gmail so that we can address the different issues that I think will help. And some of our presenters are still posting so that to assist you to get into the classrooms. The WhatsApp groups are there as well. All right.
Okay, thank you. And also my problem was with entering the link is that like piece of it is to the bottom and it's in black, it's not hyperlinked. So if the person just copy and paste it in a empty the top of the yeah, just paste it into any what you call it again, Explorer or Google Classroom, and it would work fine. That is what was happening with me. I think that's the problem with it.
Okay, thank you so much. So try to capture all of the link itself and then open a browser and okay, go in. Thank you so much, Ms. Wharton, I think, yes? All right, Antoinette Abrams-Francis, your hand is up?
Yes, it is. Good afternoon. I am in the chemistry classroom. However, I did the evaluation form, but I am not seeing the assignment that we're supposed to complete.
No, the presenters, I'm sure, will upload it. As you realize, after presenting, they might tweak their presentation and things like that. So those will be uploaded. All right, I hope that helps.
I can check back for it later on, that's what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, yes. And I think some have to go to class and all that. They're in a dynamic system.
I understand, thanks much, and I appreciate the feedback.
All right, Mr. Burdew, I have your bio WhatsApp out there in Trinidad. So thank you so much as well.
Miss Williams.
Yes.
I'd like to tell Mr. Burdew, I want to tell Mr. Burdew that I'm going to message him. I'd love to collaborate with one of the chemistry teachers from Trinidad. So,
all right, is his number there?
Yes, I took it. So he can look out for a message from me.
Okay, you heard that, Mr. Burdew?
Yes, I did. Thanks. No problem.
Great. Things are happening.
Can anybody assist me here?
Okay, who is that now?
I'm trying to get in the human and social biology classroom, but it said link has expired. What do I do?
Type your name in the chat, your phone and your Gmail, and we'll see if we can add you manually. And that will be a little bit late. All right?
My name?
No, yeah, just type your name, your phone number, and your Gmail, not your school Gmail.
Okay.
Or she could just try using the code as well. Just go to Google Classroom, type Google Classroom in the browser, and when it comes up, go to Classroom from the waffle icon and join using the code.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that because I was trying to write in the chat. What did you say?
Open your browser.
Yes.
Google Chrome. Use the waffle icon to go to Google Classroom. When it comes up, click on the classroom icon and click join and type in the code that was given for the class.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Reed Mendez. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, colleagues. I hope those email got through or were able to assist in some way. Yes. So Woodley, yes, I have your. All right, thank you all. Continue to keep safe, and we'll see you further online as we continue the collaboration.
Awesome. Yes. So
no, sir.
Is Chambers Biggs, please mute your Zoom. Mrs. Chambers, thank you so much. Okay. Trying to see it from here. All right. Still have 73 persons on. Finished for the day. And the homework will be posted. So please
I am still not getting through. I tried what the lady said.